Dilip, yes.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Good morning. So, Aman, I had sent you. Okay.
Yes, sir. I will
I
check
said,
my email.
yeah, I have replied to you. About TGT batch, have you received the chapter 1 notes? I sent to the management, they must have uploaded to you. Anyone can reply? Online? Chapter 1, okay. All right. So, yes. So, yes is saying only Subhash Chandra Bose won freedom. Gandhi movement are non-violent movement and not INC. What do you want to say? Yes. You want to say something? You are not clear? Yes, are you there? You want to say something? Are you saying that we won movement, we won the independence because of Subhash Chandra Bose? नहीं नहीं अभी बोलने दो इसे. Yes, are you there? चैप्टर 2 मिल गया आपको विशाल? Just bring it from there. You can ask them later on. आप चैप्टर 2 ले आइए अभी. इन सब के लिए ले आइएगा. One you can take later on after class, है ना? You are so slow in typing. Yes, जल्दी टाइप कीजिए. So both should be the credited, not INC or Mahatma Gandhi, for compelling the British to leave India in 1947. Is said by B.N. Ravi, B.N. Rao. All right. So
सर मैं एक्सप्लेन करूं. वो बोल रहा है कि बोस मतलब क्रेडिट बोस को मिलना चाहिए, क्रेडिट को महात्मा गांधी और मतलब महात्मा गांधी और इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस को नहीं मिलना चाहिए क्रेडिट. बोस शुड बी क्रेडिटेड क्योंकि रवि गवर्नर ने कहा था, बीएन रवि गवर्नर ने कहा था कि बोस शुड बी क्रेडिटेड, नॉट महात्मा गांधी और आईएनसी.
I got it. Next point समझ गया. पहला point was not clear. So and you were asking something about Ram Mandir. Babur constructed mosque on the Mandir, or was it Mir Baki on order of Babur constructed mosque on the Mandir? So generally it is concept that the temple was destroyed in 1528. है ना? Babur came in 1526 and temple was destroyed in 1528. Of course not by Babur personally. है ना? Babur had no time to go anywhere. Do you remember? He came in 1526 and then he fought series of battles. Battle of Khanwa, Battle of Chanderi, Battle of Bhagra. So series of battles he fought, and then next year he died also in 1530. So he had no such time. So he, but it's not a historical evidence. Historical proven evidence नहीं मिलता है that Babur had destroyed and he had constructed mosque over there. Babri Masjid है ना? उसे नाम बाद में दिया गया, and this question came our debate only in the 19th century. वो तो अलग भी बना ना. If you go to Qutub Minar, do you remember a temple was destroyed and the mosque was made, Qutubul Mosque? Then we have Adhai Dingraj Hopra in Ajmer that is made over the temple side, school side था. So it is that one. So that is a debatable question, but historical relevance नहीं मिलता है. But the point है राम मंदिर तो बन गया है ना. So सही बिकॉज जैसे मान लो एक रिलीजन है, देयर इज अ सोसाइटी इन विच बोथ पीपल आर लिविंग टुगेदर, तो ऑफकोर्स टेम्पल एंड मॉस्को विल बी देयर, है ना. टेम्पल्स आर होली पॉइंट फॉर द हिंदू एंड द मॉस्को फॉर द मुस्लिम्स. ऑफ कोर्स अगर क्रिश्चियंस भी इंडियन सोसाइटी में होते तो churches could have been there at three places. There could be in each village there will be temple, है ना. So it is a place of worship for the people. So दोनों चीज बनता था, but the point is those who are powerful they dictate their religion. Simple point, है ना. In the medieval time the Muslims were dominant, so they had focused their religion. It is the same way that the Modi government is doing. Modi government claims to be a Hindu party, है ना. वैसे बीजेपी is a secular party, है ना. मतलब इनके मैनिफेस्टो में सेकुलरिज्म की बात होती है, बट इफ इट इज दैट लाइक द मोदी गवर्नमेंट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द हिंदू सोसाइटी एंड ऑल, मोदी स्पेशली द प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज गोइंग टू द हिंदू टेम्पल्स एंड ऑल, ही इज नॉट गोइंग टू अदर प्लेसेस, है ना. द इंडिया इज अ सेकुलर नेशन, सो इंडियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर शुड गो एवरीवेयर. So this is a hypocrisy not only of Modi but Nehru also, है ना, that I can discuss in two line. So what we say, so in this time the Hindu dominant political leader is there, so the Hindu is growing up according to that need, है ना. मतलब unquote unquote, है ना, not fully, okay. So same way it was Islam in the medieval time, so they were doing for themselves, अपने आप में कर रहे थे. Many temples were disrupted, many temples were destroyed. We have example that Allahabad and Banaras, the temples were destroyed by Aurangzeb. So we have example. So it happens. So Modi ji is not only the same, Nehru was also the same. Nehru had gone to the mosques and he had gone to the Gurdwara also, and he had also gone to the church, okay. But when the Somnath temple was to be opened, है ना, फिर से reconstruction हुआ in the 1950s, and Rajendra Prasad was invited. He was the president of India and he was invited in Gujarat for the opening ceremony of the Somnath temple when it was reconstructed. So long later was written by Nehru to Prasad, and he was advising Prasad, मतलब prime minister is advising the president of India not to go on the temple. मतलब can you imagine, the president is the head of the state who is instructed by the prime minister not to go to the Somnath because it will give a bad message to the secular society. But Nehru was going to other places also. So Rajendra Prasad did not take any attention on his advice, and he had gone, and then he had given a speech on secularism. Secularism तो उन्होंने speech दिया जाके, तो it is true, है ना, सबने जाना. तो because we are a secular society, we should go everywhere. In our India, the religion is not separated from the state. Religion is not separated from state. Like in case of US में religion is different, state is different. But in case of India, religion is protected by constitution, and everyone is having given religious rights, है ना, rights सबको दी गई है. So India is a secular nation where we provide everyone. Suppose we have a minority affairs department where the minorities people are given scholarship funds and all, है ना. We have madrasas which are run by the Indian government, है ना, state government run करती है madrasa. So we are a very much secular nation, and the religion is supported equally by state. All religion is supported, है ना. तो इंडिया में no leader should be hypocristic. नेहरू was the same, मोदी जी the same, है ना, कि मोदी जी भी सिर्फ एक जगह जा रहे हैं and नेहरू जी was also asking प्रसाद not to go. तो ये hypocrisy के but secular leader वो होते हैं जो सबको सेम स्पेस देते हैं ना. Everyone should be given same space. जैसे अकबर को देख लीजिए, अकबर had also constructed temples in फतेहपुर सीकरी. He allowed construction of temple to his wife, हरखा बाई को अलाउ किया था. So we have example of secular leaders, okay. You take example of Ashoka also granted a donation to Jainism also, Brahmanism also, and Buddhism also. So we have examples of leaders like that one, okay Samartha. और लेट्स, जो आप कभी ऑफिशियल्स बने तो हमेशा सेकुलर बनना, है ना. You always be a secular official, okay.
Yes sir.
So let us start today's topic.
सर मतलब कल मैं एक आर्टिकल पढ़ रही थी, तो मतलब एक वीडियो पॉप हुई मेरे स्क्रीन पे, तो मैंने देखा कि उन्होंने बोला बाबर हैज नॉट कंस्ट्रक्टेड मॉस्क, बट मीर बाकी ऑन द मतलब बाबर के कहने पे उन्होंने मॉस्क कंस्ट्रक्ट किया था. फिर मैंने गूगल किया,
बात है, आपके लीडरशिप में कोई भी डिस्ट्रॉय करे, ब्लेम किस पे आता है? लीडर पे. अगर सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक होती है तो ब्लेम किस पे आएगा? अगर फेल होता है तो लीडर पे आएगा, और सफल होता है तो लीडर पे आएगा. So leader is the one. किसी राज्य में कुछ भी हो, leader is responsible for that things, है ना? That is excuse. That is excuse. But he was a very much orthodox, religious orthodox, है ना? We have examples. Satish Chandra has even quoted so many examples, and Jagannath Sarkar has given dozens of examples of the deconstruction of temples at the time. Okay, so let's go back. We are in the topic. So there are three themes of this topic. Chapter 1, consolidation of the Indian nation, है ना? So in this consolidation of Indian nation, आप नए हैं क्या इस बैच में? You have attended class? तो आप एक बार वीडियो वॉच कर लेना, ठीक है, पहले वाला. So what we see, so we are in the chapter 1 of the post independent India. The chapter name is consolidation of Indian nation. Okay, in this chapter, those who are new, let me clarify you that there are three themes of this topic. There are three themes of this topic. Theme 1, we discussed that what were the major challenges India was facing on the eve of independence. What are the major challenges India was facing on the eve of independence? We have seen some challenges. One is a communal rights was there, the security of the nation, maintaining representative government and all. So there were 5 to 6 main challenges we discussed yesterday. Okay, theme 2 was the integration of Indian states. Okay, so the first integration was a princely state. So we discussed Travancore, how it was merged, then Jodhpur, then Bhopal, then we have Manipur, and finally 3 states: Junagadh, Hyderabad, and Jammu and Kashmir. So these states were integrated by 1948. Then we discussed Sikkim. So Sikkim was the last state to be integrated in 1975. The Sikkim, and then Indian government had captured territories of Goa, Daman and Diu from Portuguese. Portuguese had an influence from NATO. USA and Britain had supporting Portuguese in that time. So forcefully we have acquired Goa, and then France had surrendered. The Pondicherry and other regions were surrendered by French government. Okay, so this is the way unification of India was done. And yesterday we had seen a question. So this question will be there in the class test. Okay, so a question that we saw yesterday: discuss the integration of princely states in India with a special reference to Junagadh, Kashmir, and Hyderabad. So you have to write this question in your class test. Okay, so now let us discuss the third theme of the chapter, that is the making of Indian Constitution. Okay, making of Indian Constitution. So we know that the Constitution started to be made in the 1946. So history, basically we will not go into the polity, जो आप polity में paper में पढ़ते हैं. We will talk up the historical background only the historical background of the making of Indian Constitution. And this question can be asked in the exam. I have brought this question from some other places, not from UPSC background. So this question is: in what ways did the Constitution of India reflect the ideas and values of Indian national movement? है ना, जो हमारा संविधान बना वो बेसिकली इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट से कैसे इंस्पायर्ड है. सो वी विल ट्राई टू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चंस लेटर ऑन. यू मस्ट हैव रेड मॉडर्न इंडिया, सो तभी आप बना पाएंगे, अदरवाइज यू वोंट बी एबल टू सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन. ओके, so the modern India is very much important. So let us discuss this question. These are the images of the Indian Constitution. Sardar Patel is the one who was the chairman of the Fundamental Rights Committee on the Constitution of India. So he has suggested what is the fundamental rights, कैसे होना चाहिए. He is the chairman. One such person is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So he was the president of the Constituent Assembly. The first chairman of the Constituent Assembly was Sachidanand Sinha. So when the Constitution was brought, we will discuss one by one. And these are the women. There are 15 women in the assembly. Unki image hai. And then this is Ambedkar movement, and this is Nehru. Okay. So कोई doubt है अभी तक Constitution पे? Do you have any doubt? We know that the Constitution process started from 1773 onwards only. Do you remember what happened in 1773? Regulating Act of 1773. याद है? Regulating Act of 1773. So let us briefly go in the 5 minutes in the historical background in modern India. You must have read, but let us repeat it. Okay, and then we will come back. So if we see the making of Constitution, है ना, before the constitutional reforms, we can say the rules and regulations before India become independent, है ना. तो British administrative Act. British Administrative Act कौन से आई थी? So let us briefly discuss that. So the one such act which is passed है ना, जो सबसे पहला जो आया था, क्या नाम था उसका? Regulating Act of 1773. Regulating Act of 1773. According to this act, what is the main purpose? They wanted to regulate the company. The company was given permission to do trade according to the charter passed by the British Crown, in the 1600. Okay, so after that they were given for 15 years. Then they were given unlimited time. But now the company had acquired Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha, especially the Diwani right from the Mughal Badshah after the Battle of Buxar and after the Treaty of Allahabad. Okay, so now they were doing, so in Bengal, what was doing, there was a dual government in Bengal. Dual government means the one power of the state, the criminal administration was criminal and the civil administration was in the hand of Nawab. Dual means, है ना? And then revenue administration was in the hand of Britishers, है ना? So all the money was taken by Britishers and all the responsibility was on the Nawab. This is called dual government. Dual government किसने start किया था? Robert Clive. So in 1773, British government tried to regulate the company ताकि उनको ज्यादा शेयर आ सके, है ना? Because the company is made by the British Crown. That is why they wanted to regulate company more and more. इसके द्वारा कई सारे reforms हुआ. The governor of Bengal was made Governor General of Bengal, new title. Then we have the Supreme Court was established, है ना? So many things were done to regulate the company affairs. After this act, we have a different act. जिसका क्या नाम है? The next will be Pitt's India Act. I'm not going into detail, okay? Pitt's India Act of 1784. According to this act, there were only one body who was regulating the company. सिर्फ एक body था जो company को regulate करता था. कौन था body? This body name is Court of Directors. What was that? Court of Directors were regulating the company before this time. Okay, before this time. So the British Crown had made another body to control the company. So Court of Directors were the one who were the members of the company. And they were the shareholders of the company. Those shareholders who have more than 1,000 pound investment in the company, they are the member of the company, and then this member can choose court of directors. ऐसे voting होती थी. So अब क्या आ गया यहाँ पे? Board of control आ गया. क्या आ गया? Board of control. So earlier there were only the merchant who were dominating the company. Now the British Parliament had brought the board of control, and who were the member of board of control? These members were appointed by the British Crown. We are going the historical background only, okay? So regulations companies का आ रहा है उस समय से. Then the other important will come the Charter Act. क्या आएगा? Charter Act came, and Charter Act was generally brought in every 20 years. Every 20 years. So first Charter Act is there in 1793. Company control करता था, but it is appointed by the British Crown. इसके member सिर्फ merchant होते थे और इसके member politicians होते थे. So that the Crown can have proper control over the company affairs. Okay, तो company को control करने की लाई गई, ठीक है? Then what happened? There were few charter acts were passed at this time. 1793, then 1813, then 1833, and finally 1853. So these are the charter acts were passed. हम उतने डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे. इस चार्टर एक्ट के द्वारा कंपनी की पावर को रिन्यू किया गया for 20 years. Briefly, according to this charter act, many things were introduced in India, especially by Lord Cornwallis. The permanent settlement was brought, the Indian civil service was introduced, Indian police service was introduced, so and so. According to the Charter Act of 1813, the British East India Company monopoly of trade was broken because people in Britain were protesting why the East India Company is only allowed टू डू ट्रेड, है ना, क्यों सिर्फ ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी को ट्रेड करना है. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू द चार्टर एक्ट ऑफ 1813 other companies were also allowed into India to do trade, but only the monopoly of trade with China and tea was retained. But other monopoly was broken by the British Crown. Now any company of Britain can come into India and do trade in India. ये main था 1813 the Charter Act. Then 18 इस एक्ट में और कुछ हुआ. In this act, 1-2 things were important. Others, one, the Christian missionaries were allowed into India. Christian missionaries were allowed into India. And then other part of this Charter Act is that after this what happened? They had also given sum of 1 lakh rupees to develop education in India. So education के लिए fund कौन से एक्ट में दिया गया? Charter Act of 1813. Monopoly was broken except China. Okay, and then according to the 1833 Charter Act, all monopoly was broken, including China का monopoly तोड़ दिया गया. Had made the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India, and the first Governor General of India was Warren Hastings. Was the first Governor General of Bengal. First Governor General of India was Lord William Bentinck. कौन थे? लॉर्ड विलियम बेंटिक. ये चार्टर एक्ट आया और फिर 53 में चार्टर एक्ट आया. इसके तहत जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट जो चीज हुआ, starting of examination for Indian civil service. Before 1853, there was no examination of Indian civil service. Only the people were selected on the basis of nomination. सिर्फ nominations पे selections होते थे. ठीक है? Okay. Yes, क्या पूछ रहा है? We have unwritten constitution like other country like China, Canada, New Zealand. Then what will happen in India? Unwritten होता तो ब्रिटेन में भी तो unwritten है, but everything is going by, है ना. Unwritten means we have, Britain में क्या है, there is no proper one constitution, but there are several laws and regulations. Suppose we have a written constitution, but are judges only dependent on the constitution? No. Judges have to depend on many things. There are many laws are passed by the parliament, so judges have to look at that law also. Suppose if the Patna High Court give any judgment and same related issue is taken in the Rajasthan High Court, so two judges cannot give two opinions, है ना. The Patna High Court opinion will be cited in the Rajasthan High Court, है ना. So हमारे पास भले ही written constitution है, but that is not only the limited, है ना. We have more than laws, है ना. उससे 10 गुना laws हमारे पास है कानून में. अनरिटन नहीं होता तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, ठीक है, कुछ नहीं होता. इट ऑल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन द नेचर ऑफ द पीपल, है ना. ये पूछ रहे हैं कि चाइना में जैसे हुआ, दूसरे देश में हुआ, कहा आ गया dictatorship came into China, Russia and all. So that is not the case. That is not the case. Okay, yes. Then after 1857 revolt, the power of company was broken. The power of company was broken. इनके power को तोड़ा किया. And then the political nature of the company was taken away by the British Crown, and India was directly to be ruled by the British Crown, है ना. So there is a transfer of power from the East India Company to the British Crown, and then the Government of India Act 1858 passed, है ना. According to that act, बहुत सारे चीजें, Victoria Proclamation was there. Then 1861 Council Act was passed. 1893 तब तो पास हुआ. 1861, 1892. And then other act will be passed in India. So this is a council act in which the Britishers were giving more representative to Indians also. So now they were including Indians also. So they were started including Indians also in the laws making process. But till now, the laws only made by the Viceroy and his council. Council में ministers होते थे. It is only in the 1909 when they try to bring some reforms, है ना. तो उसको क्या बोलते हैं नाम हम? 1909 Government of India Act को model into reforms, and then 1919 we have Montesquieu Johnson reforms 1919, and finally we have 1935. So after 1892, three important acts passed. One is 1909, then we have 1919 and 1935. So these laws, so इसमें क्या हुआ सबसे important? In this law, the separate electorate was given to Muslim. Islam को दिया गया, है ना. In 1919, the word diarchy came. Diarchy, that is the separation of power. The power was given to provincial states also. So there were two type of subjects here at. कौन से subject थे? One is a reserved subjects and other the transferred subjects. It was there, and then finally in 1935, Government of India Act was passed, and this act is the main motivational point of the making of the Indian Constitution. So more than half of the Indian Constitution is directly taken from the Government of India Act of 1935. ये हम जानते हैं, ठीक है? So this is a brief background. I am not teaching you the subject. हम सीधे जाते हैं how the Indian Constitution started to be made. Okay, आपने पहले पढ़ा होगा. Dilip is asking, continental system by Napoleon led to the instability in the British due to the protest 1806. Okay, lead to the end of the monopoly of the East India Company in the East. No, that was not the main reason, है ना? Continental policy में था. Britain was also fearing. Britain was fearing कि what will happen if Napoleon will capture India. Because Napoleon had captured almost all parts of Europe except Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, and Britain. इन सबको छोड़ के Napoleon had captured whole Germany, whole Italy, all the regions, है ना? Even the more parts of Spain were also captured by Napoleon. So a fear था, but the point is the local people were also protesting because do you remember two important governor of British East India Company? One is Robert Clive. He was the one who had defeated Sirajudaulah. Do you know he hanged himself in Britain? When he left India, he had taken about the it was about 100 something dollar pound, or he had sent this money with the different company, and he was put on trial on the corruption charge. Robert Clive की corruption की charge लगी थी because he had made a lavish palace in London. बहुत बड़ा पैलेस बना लिया था. So people were jealous of Clive. So the trial was put on Clive, and then he hanged himself. अपने आप को hang कर लिया. Then another Warren Hastings पे भी charge लगा of corruption charge, and Edmund Burke is the British Parliament who put a corruption charge upon Warren Hastings. So people had a knowledge that those who are going to India are becoming rich. So everyone started demanding after that, है ना? After 1800, everyone started demanding coming to India. That is why ये policy जो इनकी power जो तोड़ी गई थी, ठीक है? Napoleon was just one reason, Dilip. Okay, I hope you got it. So now let us discuss the how it is the constitution process है, कैसे start होता है और कैसे बनती है, ठीक है? So we have discussed yesterday that there were two type of India. One is India was a British India, and other India was a princely India. Okay, so out of this total India, there were 389 seats. है ना? The total election for the Constituent Assembly was to be made for 389. Total कितना था? Total seats were 389 seats were there, in which election was supposed to be held. Okay, in 1946 from 1946. So especially according to, if you remember the cabinet plan mission, and this mission especially, they decided that constitution will be made. So 389 seats on which elections was supposed to be made, out of whom 290 seats were for provinces, 292 was for provinces, 93 seats were for princely states, and 4 seats were for small provinces like Delhi and all. So 4 seats उनके लिए था. So election was supposed to be held only in the provinces, not in the princely states. What will happen in the princely state? The member will be nominated by the princely ruler. So election cannot happen in the princely states. Okay. So finally what happened? Election happened for 96 seats increase हो गया. Increase हुआ seats. So election happened at 200. It was before that, पहले discussion चल रही थी. So election happened at the 296 elections. In this, what happened? 208 seats were won by Congress, and 73 was Muslim League, and other political parties also won. In this election, Bhimrao Ambedkar was defeated from Madras, from the Bombay presidency. He was defeated. Okay, why he was defeated? We don't have to go into so much reason. The one such reason is that everyone was not allowed to vote. है ना? सबके पास vote नहीं था. Property rights, the main things. Other point is that the people were not literate. They were not aware about the Ambedkar's aim and all. So he was defeated. But the Indian leadership was very nice and humble. Gandhiji had instructed everyone to include Ambedkar. If we will not include Ambedkar, तो constitution सही से नहीं बन पाएगा, because he is the one who represents a very smaller section of society, and that is a large number, but they are a very unprivileged section of society. So Ambedkar did not win the election, but he was again included in the Constituent Assembly from Bengal. उनको re-election by election करवाया गया. One person has resigned, and then he came to the Constituent Assembly. So बोला सीट्स बाद में बढ़ गई है ना. हाँ उसमें ऐड होंगे है ना, तो बढ़ेगी उसको लेके. हाँ तो 296 हो जाएंगे. So what will happen? Elections was held here, and then Ambedkar was also included. He was defeated, but he was included into the Constituent Assembly. So this election was held, and the government was formed. So this government is known as interim government. क्या नाम है? Interim government was made, in which the Jawaharlal Nehru became the Prime Minister. Jawaharlal Nehru became the Prime Minister of India. It is said that there was a working committee of Congress of 15 members. How many? 15 members, working committee members were there, out of whom 12 persons had supported Patel. 12 persons had supported Patel as the Prime Minister of India, while 2 persons had supported Nehru, and 1 person did not voted. Now, so this is the main scenario. So according to this working committee data, Patel should be the Prime Minister of India. When? Which year? 1946, है ना? When the interim government was made. But do you know what happened? Nehru was telling that he will only become the Prime Minister. So here the power agency came into existence. Power agency यहाँ पे आया. But the most important point is that who were these working committee members? All of them were the elite one. सबके सब elite थे, and the most of them were right wing associated. They didn't like the idea of socialism of Nehru. Nehru was a very much socialist leader. Okay, but the point is that Nehru had a support of base support था उसके पास. All the district level working committee members were supporting Nehru. Then the debate came on Gandhi. Gandhi पे debate आया. Gandhi was approached by Nehru that I will only become the Prime Minister. है ना? I will. So what happened? Why did Gandhi is always blamed in the modern India that he is the one who had chosen Nehru as a Prime Minister? Why? Nehru or Gandhi was a left and right hand for Nehru, and Patel was a right and left hand for Gandhi. Both were the same persons for Gandhi. But why Gandhi had favored Nehru? There is only one issue. The issue is that if Nehru could not have been the Prime Minister of India at that time, Nehru could have broken the party, because he had a base. The base of Nehru was very strong, because the working committee, the socialist people in the Congress committee were supporting Nehru. And who are these? So इसमें जो 15 members है, they are the upper level of people, है ना? So these were supporting Patel, but the lower level of the people were supporting Nehru. And if Gandhi could not have made Nehru as a Prime Minister, it could have been the another Jinnah बन जाते हैं, and India could have been a different division. Got the point? So this is इनके गांधी पे एक वो था, मतलब it is a dilemma for the Gandhi that he had to choose Nehru as a Prime Minister. Patel was chosen as a Deputy Prime Minister, and then he was also a Home Minister. Yesterday we discussed this. हाँ पटेल सीनियर थे, पटेल मान गए. नेहरू was a very egoistic person. In that sense, he was a very egoistic person. One such example is that I can give you one example. This is not generally in the public domain. I was doing a research on this topic. I got a letter of Nehru to Rajendra Prasad in 1946. The letter was written in a terms in the May and June month, in the May and June 1946. Sorry, in the May and June 1949. It was rumor in the newspaper, and rumor was published in the newspaper that Rajendra Prasad will be the first president of India in 1949, when Constitution was not finally prepared. So, by the time of September, Nehru had written a letter to the president, president of the Constituent Assembly, Rajendra Prasad, that he has written that I and Patel have discussed that we should not change anything. हमें कुछ change करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Change means C. Rajagopalachari is the Governor General of India. Once India will be republic, C. Rajagopalachari will be continue as a first president of India. Simple and clear. So उसमें ये बोलना चाह रहे थे. And he said that I hope you will accept our advice, है ना? मतलब उनको बोल रहे कि आप हमारा बात मान जाएंगे, ठीक है? So Patel, especially Patel was not consulted before writing this letter, but his name was used in the letter. Nehru had used. And in that next 2 days, Nehru got a reply of around 11:50 p.m. in the night. He got a reply, and he was unable to sleep for the 2 days because he was thinking what will happen if Rajendra Prasad will write it to the Patel. So when Rajendra Prasad had replied, he had copied it to the Patel also. And then in that he said that you are accepting that I will accept your advice and instruction without knowing my opinion. He had no such intentions to be the president of India. Okay, but this debate led to that, and finally the Constituent Assembly had chosen him on the 24th January 1950 as a first president of India, and then he became the first president of India on the 26th January 1950. This is a debate, and do you know for the first one consecutive year, matlab from 1952 to 1957. So 1957, Rajendra Prasad was not allowed to go anywhere on the world tour except neighboring country. He only went to Nepal and Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka. He was not allowed. I'm just justifying it, but it doesn't mean that Nehru has done nothing. Nehru has done so many things that we will discuss in the other chapters also. Okay, but this is a point when the first government was made. All clear till now? ठीक है, तो हमें दोनों डायलेमा हिस्टोरियन को दोनों साइड देखना चाहिए, द बैड पॉइंट्स एंड द गुड पॉइंट्स, एंड वी शुड नॉट सपोर्ट एनीवन ब्लाइंडली. ओके, so this is the way the Indian government was formed in the 1946, and then the Constituent Assembly was also made on the 10th point. When the Constituent Assembly was made, Muslim League was not ready to participate in the assembly. Why? The one point is that who was the head of the Muslim League? Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And who was the president of the assembly? Dr. Jitendra Prasad. Okay, he is very below. Jinnah is to think parallel of Gandhi. Jinnah himself believe as a parallel of Gandhi, or Gandhi के equal है. So will Jinnah accept the post below to Nehru? Of course not, because Nehru is nothing in front of Jinnah. He compared himself as a Gandhi, so he will never accept himself as a below post in the government of India. He could have been the home minister or कुछ और मिनिस्टर मिलती उनको. So that is why he was not ready to join the ministry. This is only one reason. There are other several reasons also. Same person was there. Many Congress political members had consulted Jinnah to participate in the assembly, to participate in the formation of the government ministry. He was not ready, but later on he sent his members, अपने member भेजे, ministers बने, फिर बाद में फिर से उन्होंने resign करवा लिया. क्यों? Because they were very much minority in the assembly. We know that they have only 73 seats, whereas Congress and the other people had 208 seats. So this is the one. So this is the way Muslim League did not play any crucial role in the making of Indian Constitution from the beginning. This is only 1946 when there was no clear idea of partition. अभी तक partition का clear idea नहीं आया था. This idea came only in the June 1947. Okay, according to the Lord Mountbatten plan. So all got clear the point. So this is the way the Constituent Assembly was started to be made. अब हम एक डेटा देख लेते हैं that who is the first person, इस पे क्वेश्चंस आया हुआ है. So in 1934, M.N. Roy, he is a leftist. He is a founder of the Communist Party of India in the Tajikistan. He is the first one to suggest that we should have our own elaborative constitution of India. Then in 1935, Congress had adopted this resolution that we should have our own independence constitution. So who is the first person? M.N. Roy is the first person to suggest to have a constitution of India. Then the temporary chairman जो हमने discuss किया was made chosen as a Sachidanand Sinha, because he was the eldest person, and then the all-time president was chosen Rajendra Prasad. Then vice president was Harendra Kumar Mukherjee. Kumar का spelling यही था COOMAR, and then constitutional advisor was B.N. Rao. Okay, this is the things we come to know. Samartha is writing ये नेहरू का जो बिहेवियर है और किसी सोर्स में डिस्क्राइब किया हुआ है. हाँ, बिल्कुल डिस्क्राइब किया हुआ है. If you read the book that is published by Ramchandra Guha, so you will get this knowledge, है ना. आप पहला 2-3 चैप्टर पढ़िए, you will come to know, है ना. But he has a very good points also, है ना. सबके पास अपना पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव होता है. Akbar had also killed so many people. Do you remember Chittor? When he captured Chittor in 1568, Uday Singh, he had killed 10,000 people. Akbar, who was a very secular man. Go to Ashoka, he has killed 1 lakh people, है ना, in the Kalinga War. So everyone has bitch. बुक की नाम है India after Gandhi Samartha. India after Gandhi, you can read that book. Okay. So let us discuss when the constitution was made. So what was the things we were done? So these are the major committees. These are the persons who were heading this committee. So one such committee was the Union Powers Committee. This is headed by Nehru. Union Constitution Committee headed by Nehru. States Committee headed by Nehru. So Nehru was the Prime Minister at the time. So Constituent Assembly में head कौन थे? Narendra Prasad. Suppose Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of India. But when he will sit in the parliament, he will not be the first person. Who will be the head of parliament? Speaker. है ना, स्पीकर सबसे पावरफुल पार्लियामेंट में होगा. सो इन द सेम पर्सन, इफ द नेहरू इज सिटिंग इन द कंस्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली, ही इज नॉट द फर्स्ट पर्सन. द हेड ऑफ द असेंबली इज द president of the constituent assembly. Okay, so he was a prime minister, but he was a very well-read person, so he was given so many important, so most important posts were headed by this person. Very nice, Dilip. Okay, so then the provisional constitution committee was headed by Sardar Patel, provisional constitution committee. Then we have advisory committee on the fundamental rights, minorities and the tribal affairs were headed by Sardar Patel. And the most important committee was a drafting committee. वो जो मेन पर्पस ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी का मेन पर्पस क्या था? कंस्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली में मान लो 300 मेंबर्स है, सो दे वर नॉट स्पीकिंग और टॉकिंग अबाउट एनी लॉ, एनी आइडिया. व्हाट वाज देयर? डिफरेंट कमिटीज वर मेड in which 5 to 10 members were appointed. Different committee. One person can be a member of 2-3 committee also. Okay. So what will happen? This committee will sit separately. पहले आपस में बैठेगा, आपस में. Then those committee will discuss the things जो उनको टास्क दिया गया है. Fundamental rights, that's the principle of state policy, center-state relations and all, है ना. So they will discuss first. Then they will read the constitution of the world. पूरे दुनिया के संविधान पढ़ेंगे. They will incorporate the things from the rest of the world. Then they will write a draft. Okay, and this draft will be submitted to the every member of the assembly before the assumption of the assembly. Every member will read the draft at home. Then they will meet together and then they will start discussing the draft. Each topic पे each draft, and then everyone will discuss, debate, and then changes will happen, changes will be suggested, modifications will be made. Again the committee will sit, different committee for different purpose, and then finalization will happen. That is why Indian constitution has taken 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. USA constitution had taken only 6 months to be completed. भारत में 3 साल, almost 3 years we have taken to make our constitution. That is why it is a very lengthy process, and that is why everything is written rightly in the Indian constitution. आज भी उसकी relevance उतना ही है जितना 1947-49 में था. ठीक है. So these are the main committees. So who is the head of drafting committee? Dr. Ambedkar. Then all the things are prepared. So it should be drafted in a constitutional language. अभी member कौन थे? They're the normal people, so they can write anything. So a final draft was done by Bhimrao Ambedkar. What to include, what not to include. He was not only the one. There are other members in the committee also. But since Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was heading a drafting committee, whose main purpose was to give a final shape of the Indian Constitution, that is why he is defined as a father of Indian Constitution. Because he is the head of the drafting committee. But पूरे assembly का head कौन है? Narendra Prasad, है ना? So that is why he's. Other reason is that he is from unprivileged section. That is why he is so much credited. Third reason is that he is a सबसे पढ़े लिखे लोग थे वहाँ पे, है ना? Doctorates, masters and all. So many well-read persons he was. Okay. So he is the father. He is considered as the father of Indian Constitution. So these are the committee. Got the point? So इस पे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कभी-कभी. फंडामेंटल राइट कमेटी के मेंबर कौन थे? पटेल. ओके, तो एक क्वेश्चन हम याद कर लेते हैं. एनी डाउट टिल नाउ? टेक अ पॉज. कोई डाउट है अभी? अभी हमने क्या पढ़ा है? वी हैव डिस्कस द बैकग्राउंड ऑफ लॉज मेकिंग इन इंडिया. देन वी हैव डिस्कस मेजर कमिटीज, एंड बिफोर दैट हु आर द प्रेसिडेंट. Okay, and then how the elections were held, why Jinnah did not participate initially, बाद में participate किया पर फिर वापस आ गया. So this is the times we discuss. Okay, so finally what happened by 1949 and 1946 में start हुआ दिसंबर में, and then by 1949 on the date 26th November 1949, Indian Constitution was finally prepared, but it was not implemented on 26th November 1949. It was implemented on 26th January 1950. Can someone give me a reason why we had waited for 2 months? If you remember Lahore session of which year? 1929. In Lahore session of 1929, Nehru was a president of the session. So in that time, we had adopted a Purna Swaraj, complete independence idea. So from the time of 1930, 26 January, India was celebrating its independence day. We had not got independence in 1930, but we were celebrating our independence day each year on 26 January after 1930. 29 में तो सेशन हुआ था दिसंबर में. So from 30 we were celebrating as the Independence Day. So but we got independence in 15th August on 15th August 1947. So we had forgotten that day, 20th January. So that is why we had waited for 2 months. And other is astrology also. 26th January is not a good day, and 26th January was a very good day, and astrology was also important. So we waited for 2 months, and then finally the constitution was implemented on this day. This question had been repeatedly asked in class 12th examination. आपने हिस्ट्री पढ़ा है? IP. This question was there, है ना? क्या क्वेश्चन था? वो तो बहुत सिंपल हो गया, पर ये आइडिया नहीं. Okay, हाँ, तो दिसंबर 1929 है ना. All right, so this question had been repeatedly asked in class 12th history and polity also. ये क्वेश्चन सब्जेक्टिव में पूछता है, रीजन जो ही देना है, रीजन why India had waited for 2 months है ना. So this is a subjective answer. We will go back to 1929, Purna Swaraj of which session? Lahore session. Who was the president? Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was the president of that Lahore session. Okay. नहीं तो इंडिपेंडेंस हुआ नहीं था ना उस समय. ओके, सो ये सब कुछ डेट्स हैं जो एक बार एक्चुअल डेट्स हम देख लेते हैं. सो व्हाट वी सी, वी हैड स्पेशली रेटिफाइड आवरसेल्फ फ्रॉम द कॉमनवेल्थ नेशन इन May 1949. India was granted dominion status, and Commonwealth nation is a nation of the world who are a part and a colony of the British Empire. है ना? Still there are many Commonwealth nations, and there are Commonwealth games also. So India is still playing the Commonwealth game, but we are not a part of Commonwealth nation. Australia, Canada, and other states are a part of Commonwealth nation. So we ratified ourselves. Then we had adopted national flag on July 22, 1947, before independence. And before independence, assembly ने adopt किया. Then we had adopted national anthem on January 24, 1950. January 24, 1950. On the same day, Rajendra Prasad was elected as a president of India, but he became president in the 26th January, not 24. Okay. Other date is we have adopted national song on the same day, January 24, 1950, and then Rajendra Prasad elections happened. So this is an important date for the Constitution of India. In this, I will suggest you to read, to watch a very important episode on the Samvidhan. There is a 10 episode on the Samvidhan at Rajya Sabha TV. Rajya Sabha TV. It is available free of cost in the YouTube. 10 episodes, and these talks about how the Hindu-Muslim conflict happened, Simla conference and all. It talks, the first chapter talks about that first episode, and then it describes how the election was held, how the people are chosen, how Ambedkar was defeated, and then how Gandhi instructed to include Ambedkar. First episode. Then the one episode is on fundamental right, other episode in the land reforms, other episodes of the official language. There are so many debates. The most important debates of the Constituent Assembly have been taken up in this episode. It's a very interesting Hindi. Also, I think English may be here. Okay, answer. So this is a very good episode. You can watch in 10 days, 1 hour, 10 days. This will prepare your Indian polity of 1950s. मतलब संविधान के दृष्टिकोण से फ्रॉम द यूपीएससी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू दिस विल प्रिपेयर योर क्वालिटी ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फ्रॉम द 1947 to 50. So you can really watch it, है ना. I will recommend you to. I have watched more than 10 times. मतलब मुझे सुनने मतलब बहुत मजा आ रहा था, है ना. इसकी जो एंकर है ऑल्सो सी इज माई वन ऑफ द फ्रेंड फ्रॉम जेएनयू, स्वरा भास्कर. सी वाज माई प्रोफेसर्स डॉटर इन जेएनयू, है ना. तो स्वरा भास्कर एक ही एंकर है. तो दिस इज वेरी नाइस, यू कैन वॉच एवरीवन. आई विल रिकमेंड टू वॉच दैट episode, okay, if you have time. Then the first question is that you also do this in the Indian polity, but we are briefly discussing these things, है ना. थोड़ा फास्ट में करते हैं. So some people say that there is a criticism of Constituent Assembly. There is a criticism of the Constituent Assembly. Why criticism? Because the people say it was not a representative body. It did not represent every sections of society. 2 points. One, the people are not elected, the people in the assembly are not elected from the princely estates. They are the nominated one. Pehla point hai. Other point, everyone had not voted in the election. So the member of the Constituent Assembly were not elected by everyone. मतलब मेन अडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज पे इलेक्शंस नहीं हुआ है. So that is why we can say that the Constituent Assembly did not represent everyone. About the women, there were only 15 members. And 300 something members है. So we can say this is not a constituent representative body. पहला critic है इसका. Second, it is not a sovereign body because according to the government of India, especially before the 1946 जो cabinet president plan आया था, उससे तहत था the constituent body will be made. They will make their own laws, but their laws will be approved by the British Parliament. So initially this Constituent Assembly was not a sovereign body. Once India, ये तो भी था ना, अगर मान लो नेहरू was a prime minister, okay, the Constituent Assembly was being made. So there are two separate organs. One is the Government of India led by Nehru, other is a Constituent Assembly which is led by Rajendra Prasad. Let's imagine India could have same problem like China. China had a civil war in 1947-48, है ना. जब माओ चाइना में आया था. So just imagine same thing could have been done in India. Nehru, just imagine if Nehru could have been dictator. मतलब he was a prime minister in 1946. We got independence in 1947, and he was a ruler till 1949 before the constitution was prepared. So if he could have been a dictator, could he have been adopted Indian constitution? No. मतलब if he could have been like Mao or Stalin, वो तो adopt नहीं करता constitution. So this was not a sovereign body. It was a will of the Nehru and the other Congress members that they had adopted Indian constitution. Like in case of French Revolution, what happened? The constitution was prepared. Do you remember in 1791? Other party came. वहाँ पे जो member जो थे, जो revolution स्टार्ट किया, उन्होंने क्या क्या संविधान बनाया. They said we will not go our home back until we will not make a constitution for the king. So they have made a constitution for their king, और उन्होंने डिसाइड लिया that we will dissolve ourselves. हम अपने आप को क्या करेंगे? Dissolve कर लेंगे. They decided that they will dissolve ourselves. The new elections were held, and those people who came in the new election, they did not accept the previous constitution. उन्होंने फिर से नया संविधान बनाया. So we can say that our constitution was not a sovereign body, but finally, when the Indian government had adopted this became a sovereign, है ना, sovereign power बन गया. Then it was very much time consuming because it has taken 12 years, 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. Then it is mostly dominated by the 208 members was from Congress party. So the other party, Hindu Mahasabha, RSS, CPI, had a very small participation in that. So we can say that it is a lawyer and politician. So this is the other point. And then it is mostly dominated by the Hindus. Very few Muslims were a part of this assembly. So we can say these things are there. Any doubt in this? Okay. So what is the spirit of the Indian Constitution? So one by one, it is a preamble that was adopted in 1946 only. Preamble में क्या है? It talks about many such things, है ना. It talks about what should be India. It should be a socialist. It should be a secular. Secular word बाद में add हुआ है ना. So we talk about the equality of the people, है ना. So preamble, the preamble of the Indian Constitution talks about whatever is written in the whole Constitution. It is one paragraph, it talks about everything. So preamble is also a part of our basic structure of the Indian Constitution, जो 1972-3 के बाद आता है, ठीक है. So we have this is a gist of the Indian Constitution, very nice, Dilip, and we have justice, liberty, and all. Okay. Then other point, we have a sovereign. So when the Constitution was finally prepared and it was implemented, it became a sovereign body. So the question of sovereignty of India was answered through the Indian Constitution. The people who were questioning Indian sovereignty was answered through the Indian Constitution, है ना. So Constitution is the first important point, है ना, कि we got free ourselves from the external control. So this is the way it shows. Then we became the Republican government, है ना. After 26 January 1950, we become the Republican government. ये important point है. Then ideology हमारा कैसा था? The ideology our was based on socialism. The Prime Minister of India was a socialist Prime Minister. He was not from right wing or he was not from left wing. Yesterday we discussed that he had allowed right wing to grow up. Why? Because he had to tackle the left wing problem. So he had a very much socialist ideology is the one. That is why he brown castes were given privilege. Reservation was brought up by the Indian constitutions. Then we have the land reforms bills were there, and many food security act and many things are passed by the Indian government. So we had ideology, and ideology कैसा था हमारा? We had a very much socialist ideology, and then we were a secular nation. It is a very unique because India was partitioned into two parts, India and Pakistan, and one part is India. Pakistan become a communal nation, that is a Muslim dominated nation, whereas India was a secular nation. We allowed everyone to be flourish. So this is the five main spirit of the Indian Constitution. Any doubt? Okay. So ये सब detail आप Indian polity में भी पढ़ेंगे, है ना. You will discuss in the Indian polity also. So let us briefly discuss the fundamental rights. So initially there were 7 fundamental rights, but one fundamental right is not is no longer a part of Indian fundamental rights. That is a right to property. So right to property is not a part of fundamental right because it is removed from Article 19(1)(f) इसमें था और 31 में. So it is removed. Why this is removed? We know, and we know that land reforms was brought by the Indian. अभी इसके बाद डिस्कस करते हैं. एक तो है राइट टू इक्वलिटी, राइट टू फ्रीडम, राइट अगेंस्ट एक्सप्लॉयटेशन, राइट टू फ्रीडम ऑफ रिलीजन, कल्चरल एंड एजुकेशनल राइट्स, right to constitutional remedies, है ना. These are the rights are there. If you remember the articles name one by one करके अगर आप article का नाम पढ़ोगे, so according to Article 15 prohibits the discrimination on grounds of religion, caste, race, sex, or the place of birth, and that is why it has given positive terms in the reservation, है ना. The reservation to SC, ST, and the other backward caste, and this is a part of affirmative measures to promote social equality. Reservation Article 15. 16 की बात करता है, फिर 23 में जाएंगे. It talks about the right to freedom की बात करता है ना. Prohibition of forced labor under Article 23 we have. Then Article 24 right talks about the right against exploitation, child labor. Then we have bonded labor law आया है. These things are there. Then Article 25 talks about the diverse nation of India, religion की बात करता है ना. Then Article 29 talks about the safeguarding of the rights of the minorities to conserve their distinct language and all. And then Article 32 क्या है? Constitutional remedies. So these are the main articles in the fundamental right from Article 13 to 35 that especially talks about these things and पूरी चीज की बात करता है. So there are 7 fundamental rights initially, but this fundamental rights repealed from the constitution because of the two things. Let me tell you, yesterday I discussed that Nehru had instructed all the it added in the 312 part, है ना. So what happened after 1946 only? When India became independent in 1947, Nehru had instructed, because he had a socialist dream. Do you remember? If you read modern India, there is a peasant revolt. The peasant leader क्या थे? सबसे famous peasant leader कौन थे इंडिया के? कौन बताएगा? 1930s 40s में. Who is the most famous peasant leader in India? Who was from Bihar? No, I am talking about the freedom struggle. Who is from Bihar and who is a founder president of the All India Kisan Sabha? No. गांधी को गांधी गांधी से तो बहुत लड़ाई होती थी किसान लीडर की. Any guess? Who founded All India Kisan Sabha? किसान इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं आपके लिए. Bose was not a leader, है ना. So Bose was a leftist one. He was हाँ सरस्वती है ना, स्वामी सजानंद सरस्वती है ना. The All India Kisan Sabha was founded in 1936. So it was promised to the peasant. It was promised to the peasant that you will be also be a part of Indian freedom, है ना. So without zamindari abolition, freedom cannot be achieved. Without zamindari abolition, freedom cannot be achieved. So that is why when India become independent, the foremost problem, ये कल देखा नहीं था, पहला प्रॉब्लम क्या, पहला ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था इंडिया का? The first objective was to make India united, to remain India united and a representative democracy. The second problem was to eradicate the social and economic disparity. So in order to solve the social and economic problem, land reform was the most important challenge. ठीक है, तो नेहरू क्या बोला, सबको लैंड रिफॉर्म लाओ. नाउ एवरी स्टेट हैड ब्राउट लैंड रिफॉर्म्स इन देयर स्टेट. केरला, उत्तर प्रदेश, बिहार, मध्य प्रदेश एंड ऑल. ओके, जब सारे स्टेट्स में लैंड रिफॉर्म आया, सो पहला स्टेट है लैंड रिफॉर्म पे अबॉलिशन ऑफ जमींदारी सिस्टम. व्हेन द स्टेट हैड पास्ड दिस लॉ, अब हाई कोर्ट्स आर पुटिंग दिस लॉज ऑन अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेसिस. पटना हाई कोर्ट बोलता है these laws are unconstitutional because the Zamindari Abolition Bill and the Land Reforms Act are violating the Article 19(1)(f) of the property rights. Violate कर रहा है. मैं आप लोग परमानेंट सेटलमेंट पढ़े हैं. According to the permanent settlement of 1793, जमींदार were the intermediary. Do you remember? Between state and peasant. हिंदी में बोले तो बिचौलिया थे, है ना. राइट कलेक्ट करना रेवेन्यू और फिर स्टेट को देना है. They were the one who were maintaining land records. According to the Tenancy Act of 1885, याद है 1885 में occupancy rights मिला था. Those labor, anyone who will cultivate land for continuously 12 years will be entitled to have occupancy rights. But they had no papers, so how can they claim that they are cultivating for 12 years? So technically they had no land records. I am talking about peasants. Once Britishers left India, India became independent nation. Now the zamindars were not ready to surrender land records. वो surrender ही नहीं किए zamindars. So technically they become the owner of the land. So according to permanent settlement, they were not the owner of the land; they were the intermediary. But once British left India, they become the owner of the land. That is why zamindari abolition bill was necessary for Indian government. So जैसे ही लॉ आया तो पार्लियामेंट ने क्या, सारे कोर्ट ने क्या किया, दिस इज अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बिकॉज इट वायलेट्स द फंडामेंटल राइट्स. सो दे वर सपोज, द जमींदार वर सपोज टू गो टू द पार्लियामेंट आल्सो. पार्लियामेंट जाने वाले थे, ठीक है. तो नेहरू ने क्या किया, नेहरू न्यू दैट इफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट विल पास द लॉ अगेंस्ट द जमींदारी एबोलिशन बिल, द गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग. So that is why he brought the first amendment in the Indian constitutions only in the 1950. So 1950 में ही पहला संविधान संशोधन बिल आया, and that bill had added how many schedules were before that? 8. There were अभी कितने schedules है total? 12 schedules are there. So earlier it was 8 schedule. So Indian government under Nehru had added 9th schedule in the Indian constitution, and he said if any law which is added under the 9th schedule cannot be made for the judicial review. समझ में आया? So first amendment was made in order to protect जमींदारी bills. So जितने भी जमींदारी बिल जितने भी स्टेट्स में पास हुए थे, all the bills were taken by the Indian Parliament and put under the 9th schedule so that the court cannot review this. So आर्टिकल 19(1)(f) भी था, जिसे इंदिरा गांधी लास्ट में हटाती है ना, और लास्ट में क्या हुआ, ये भी बच गया, है ना. फिर उस पे केस चला. डू यू रिमेंबर संतरी प्रसाद केस, देन वी हैव दौलतनाथ केस, एंड देन केशवानंद भारती केस. आई होप आई डोंट नीड टू गो इन डिटेल अबाउट दैट, है ना. आप पॉलिटी में पढ़े हैं सब. सो केशवानंद भारती कैसे क्या है, बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, बट वी डोंट नीड टू डिस्कस हियर इन मोर डिटेल. ओके, So that's the point. This is the way constitution was made, and then the article जो है last में 7th property यहाँ पे हटाया गया. Okay, all clear till now? Any doubt? So one is writing इंदिरा गांधी ने उसके बाद land reform act भी लाया था, where farmers who work in agriculture become owner of the land. देखो होता क्या है, land reform L जो है, land is a matter of state government. तो इंडियन पार्लियामेंट हैड नॉट पास एनी लॉ रिलेटेड टू लैंड रिफॉर्म्स बिल एंड ऑल, है ना. लैंड इज अ मैटर ऑफ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, सो इट वाज, इसलिए लैंड रिफॉर्म सफल नहीं रहा. तो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट होता, तो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट, नेहरू वाज वेरी मच हैविंग विल टू पास लैंड रिफॉर्म्स बिल. मेरा इस पे रिसर्च है पूरा लैंड रिफॉर्म पे, एक बुक आने वाली है मेरी लैंड रिफॉर्म पे. सो लैंड रिफॉर्म इज वेरी मच अनसक्सेसफुल इन इंडिया. Okay, some other time we will discuss in detail about it. Any doubt till now? So let us discuss this topic. ये भी है जो आपने इंडियन पॉलिटी में आप पढ़ते ही है, that इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या है. इट इज अ borrowed constitution. It is a carbon copy of 1935 गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. half of the taken from there. It is un-Indian और anti-Indian, पूरे लोग नहीं पार्टिसिपेंट थे. It is un-Gandhian. Why? Because Gandhian talks about राम राज्य. He was not in support of parliament. He was talking that power should be from bottom to up, है ना, not from up to bottom. So he was talking about the decentralized of power. So this was not according to the wish of Gandhi. It was very big and it is the paradise of the lawyers. So ये main points है. एक और image में आपको दिखाता हूँ. These are the 15 women who were part of Indian Constituent Assembly, and these are the names you can refer. And these are also there the dots. So out of these 15 women, the most of them were literate and the upper caste. Only one was Muslim and one was Dalit. This is the things we come to know. So this is our about Indian Constitution. So let us see that questions. और इसमें हम देखते हैं आप इसका आंसर कैसे लिख पाएंगे. ठीक है. So this is a question. The question is, in what ways did the Constitution of India reflect the ideas and the values of Indian national movement? एक क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है. सो इस क्वेश्चन को हमें किस तरह से रिप्रेजेंट करना चाहिए और कैसे लिखना चाहिए. तो वंस वी स्टार्ट राइटिंग दिस क्वेश्चन, फर्स्टली वी शुड राइट नेशनल मूवमेंट क्या है, हु हैड गिवन द आइडिया ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, क्या नाम था, एमएन रोय. देन आईएनसी हैड अडॉप्टेड, इलेक्शन वाज हेल्ड, हाउ इलेक्शन वाज हेल्ड, है ना, हाउ मेनी सीट्स वर देयर टोटल, 392. देन वी हैव 296 में फाइनल इलेक्शंस हुआ, 208 वाज हेल्ड बाय कांग्रेस, एंड द फर्स्ट प्रेसिडेंट वाज the first chairman Sachidanand Sinha, and then first president was Dr. Jitendra Prasad, the final president. So we will write a nice introduction, and then we will start writing that what are the things which are the founding point of Indian constitution from the national movement, है ना. कौन से ऐसे पॉइंट्स है जो हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकते हैं. ठीक है. इस पे हम पॉइंट करेंगे, and then we will give the examples. तो सबसे पहला पॉइंट है, we will discuss one by one. तो जो फर्स्ट पॉइंट है, can you tell me what are the values we have adopted from the India's freedom of struggle? सबसे बड़ा फीचर क्या है संविधान का, which are similar to our aim of the struggle? इक्वलिटी है. ठीक है. और कुछ फर्टिलिटी भी है. ठीक है. इसमें हम देते हैं प्रिम्बल एंड द फंडामेंटल राइट्स, है ना. तो फर्स्ट हेडिंग विल बी आफ्टर इंट्रोडक्शन. सो फर्स्टली वी विल राइट introduction in the question, 150 word introduction in the question. Then the first point we will write fundamental rights, and principle. So we will write about 2 to 3 line on the topic. Can we write on 2 to 3 line on the topic? Yes, Savartha, you are right. हाँ, secular, sovereignty, democracy, equality, liberty, ये सारे main topic है ना. So we should write about fundamental rights and this topic, preamble and the fundamental rights should be written in 2 lines about the topic. इसमें article include कर सकते हैं. Which are the fundamental rights? कौन से rights है ना. और महात्मा गांधी का क्या view था? If you remember, महात्मा गांधी had a view of सर्वोदय, है ना. सर्वोदय view था, तो उस पे discussions थे. तो ये सारे time is up and there is a next class. So I will discuss this question tomorrow, है ना. क्वेश्चन मैं कल फिर से डिस्कस करूंगा, and then tomorrow we will start a new topic, है ना. और if you want, let me know. I can dictate some of the questions. तो अगर आप अपने से नहीं लिख पाते हैं तो let me know. I can dictate some of the questions. Okay, as per your demand. Okay. So let me know. I can dictate also, or I can make you understand. You write the point and you write yourself in the class test. Okay. So we'll see you tomorrow. Time is up. So tomorrow we will start the new topic, that is chapter 2. Chapter 2. What is the title of chapter 2? So chapter 2 is the making and the working of Indian Constitution. I will ask you guys to read this chapter. कल आपको chapter 2 पढ़ के आना है. So everyone, those who have not got online, please write to the management, है ना, वो आपको upload कर देंगे. और please read chapter 2. Okay. So tomorrow we will start chapter 2 along with the answer of this question. Okay.